In this video we will be setting up the AudioShare Control 4 integration to be able to handle music endpoints at AudioShare Wallstations. To begin, we've already set up our project where we have 4 rooms defined in here. And the first thing we're going to do is add the AudioShare hub into the main wiring room there. So remember, the AudioShare hub uses the AV switch proxy, so we're going to find it under the AV switch list. We'll click on Manufacturer and AudioShare. We'll be selecting the 16-station AudioShare hub. The other 16-station hub that may or may not be there is an old one, and that will eventually be removed, so just ignore it. But the AudioShare 16-station hub is the one that we want. So we'll double-click on it, and it will add it into our project. We will then give it a name. I like to call it AudioShare Hub. Then what we'll do is we will create or add Wallstation drivers to these other rooms. So to do that, we will switch the device type to Others, select the manufacturer's AudioShare, and we will add the Wallstation into the theater. We will also add a Wallstation into the kitchen, as well as a Wallstation into the master bedroom. At this time, let's also add another room, and we'll call it the front door. And we'll also stick in here a door station. Okay, so now we have all of our drivers in the appropriate rooms. Let's now go into each of the devices and set their AudioShare address. Now the door station can have a range between 240 and 248, or 247 in this case. Each one of these door stations actually are pre-assigned to a specific location within a standalone AudioShare system. So for example, a door station, the address of 240 is assumed to be the front door. There's a list of the pre-assigned locations for each door station within the AudioShare installation guide, which can be downloaded from audioshare.net under the support section. So because this is the front door, we're going to leave the AudioShare address at 240. Also note that the Control 4 room ID and the Control 4 room name must be populated. The AudioShare drivers, both Wallstation and door station, as well as the AudioShare hub, require a valid room ID and room name to be entered in here. Now these are auto-discovered. The driver will automatically detect those and put them in there. However, if there is an instance where the room ID comes up 0 or blank, that probably means that you have an older driver, or that there's a driver problem, in which case you'll probably want to call AudioShare support. But a properly functioning driver for both the door station and the wall station will both have a room ID and room name entered, as well as the status will be bound to the AudioShare hub driver. So we will go through and set wall stations in the master bedroom. Mine is actually set to 25. In the kitchen, my AudioShare address is 21, and I'm setting these as I go. And then the theater is 12, and I'll set that. Okay, notice that each one of those devices, or the Wallstation drivers that I have set, had the appropriate room ID, room name, as well as status. Now let's go back to the AudioShare hub driver and make sure that its properties are set correctly. The controller address, by default it should be 254. The range can be anywhere between 254 and 251. The only time you'd ever want to change that is if you had multiple integration points for an AudioShare system where you were defining controller addresses for each of those systems, in which case you want to make sure that that number is unique. However, if it's just an AudioShare system hooked to Control 4, leaving it at 254 is sufficient. We will leave the intercom properties alone here. Automatic intercom, Control 4 intercom zones, digital audio delay, and dummy room. We'll leave those. We'll talk about those in another video where we talk about intercom integration with Control 4. The update time, you'll probably want to set that to an interval. What that will do is the AudioShare hub driver will, whatever period of time that you set there, will take the time from the Control4 system and send that to the AudioShare system to make sure the times are synchronized. Now the status field you see here, that tells us if the AudioShare hub driver is connected to the AudioShare system. In this case it is not. So what we'll want to do is go to the connections, go to network, and you'll see that the AudioShare hub driver here is set. That's where you'll want to put the IP address of the AudioShare hub driver. If you do not know the IP address of the AudioShare hub, know that all AudioShare hubs come with DHCP enabled. In order to look up what their IP addresses and even change their IP addresses to static IP addresses, you want to go into the system connection, configure Ethernet, then you go to the Discover button and then press Discover. And this will go out and discover any of the AudioShare devices that are Ethernet enabled. Here you'll see I have a device called AES Hub, and I just so happen to have already set that to a static IP address. If you want to override a DHCP setting, just go ahead and select the radio button, set the appropriate IP address, subnet mask, and default gateway, and then select Commit Changes, and that will set that device's new IP address. Once you have that IP address, you can copy that out, go back into your AudioShare hub device and enter the IP address in for its settings. I'm using a virtual director, so I actually cannot set that setting in there for this video. However, had I done that, this status would actually say that it was connected to the Ethernet hub. Okay, now what we need to do is set the audio connections for the AudioShare Wallstation that will connect to the AudioShare controller or AV switch, where the audio will be coming from, that will go into the AudioShare system. So what we'll do is we'll go to the connections and we'll click on the HC300 controller. We'll go to the audio out and we will set its audio out in connection to the stereo input 1 connection of the AudioShare hub. Now keep in mind that these audio inputs do not correlate to the numbers on the AudioShare hub. Remember, AudioShare is a point-to-point audio network, and so it doesn't necessarily have zone numbers. What we do in this driver is we abstract those zone numbers into virtual port numbers, both for input and output, and that way we can then correlate a zone back to a number just like Control4 would like it to be. So in this particular case, we're just going to go ahead and pick stereo input 1 on the as an AudioShare input that will come from audio out of the controller. And then what we'll do is we'll go into the room and we will set the audio endpoint for that room to be the exact same number. So we'll set output 1 in this particular case. Now, if we go back to the AudioShare hub in System Design, you will see that the IO port 1 room ID has now been set to room, which should match the room that we were in. We can then go into all of the other rooms in connections and set their endpoints to the next available open room. And you'll notice all I have to do is just keep going down and assigning these audio endpoints to their appropriate room. I can also do this for the door station. The door station in AudioShare is an audio endpoint and can have music go to it. So now, once I've done that for all the audio endpoints, when I go back to the system design, you'll notice that the port numbers have automatically been filled in. Now, at this point, we are now set up to be able to have audio come from Control4 into AudioShare and sent to room wall stations as audio endpoints.